So these are the family members that have come from Chris Lee and suffered. Their family members have suffered, and they have suffered. The notice was given on the 7th after all the checks were cashed. We were made aware of it. We bought lunch, bought food for the next few days. But look, they've all shown up to move to obviously a much better place. And I told them it's an open mic to the Department, Office of Healthcare Quality for the state. It's also going to be shown to the Department of Aging, who's been amazing, also bringing food. So if anybody wants to say anything, say something. You don't have to. But certainly thanking the state for everything they're doing, and the Department of Aging is really something we should all do. So, anybody wants to say something?
I mean, not only did they take my mother's money on the 2nd, they called me on the 4th and told me my mother had to leave. They're not going to reimburse any of her money.
No.
No, we're not getting a refund for her. Must be out today and tomorrow.
And completely illegal. You have to give 30 days notice, and that's what the state's attorney letter said. Told them December 7th.
I never received an email. I got a call only. I never received anything in formal written. Never, nothing in email, not in writing. Just, hi, you guys gotta go. Period.
Are you more comfortable now?
Oh, I got much better.
Okay.
Thank you.
Just want to make sure. Anybody else? Yes.
In the long run, we've improved our situation for our
Yes.
family.
It's not even a question.
Yeah, and I can't say enough about you folks here. It's a godsend for us because literally a little more than a week ago, we got hit with the bombshell where we were told we had to take our loved ones away from the venue they've been at for quite some time in a lot of cases. And we were told in an email that we had to have them out within, well, they said immediately. Then through the grapevine, we heard it had to be within 5 days, which is absolutely ridiculous.
And illegal.
Yeah, and illegal. So the fact that you folks have stepped in to help us in the manner that you have, and shown compassion for our families, we can never repay you.
Absolutely.
Never repay you. So blessings to you folks, and I have to say also that the folks at the Department of Aging, Carol Clemens and Monique, your communication with us has been fantastic.
And just to mention, the Department of Carissa was there when I brought lunch. Carissa was there. It was the head of the Department of Aging, who started, by the way, in his Alzheimer's unit at 17 years old. Right? That's where she started. She gave her credit card to Michelle. She said anything. So those lunches that have come, those box lunches and dinners, are because of Carissa. And she was, I mean, she's been right. I mean, I talked to her, all of them, multiple times a day. They're really just doing everything they can for you all.
Caring folks.
So thank you very, very much from the bottom of our hearts. I know
Yes.
my brother and I,
Thank you.
but I'm sure you all feel the same way we do. We're looking forward to it.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Thank you.
And do I get any kudos for the bird feeder?
100%. Yeah, I
Yeah.
also wanted to just say thank you. I was on vacation when I got word, and between you, Craig, and there were some people at Chrisley and Monique, everyone has been really helpful in comforting me, not to worry. They were
Michelle Gray is coming to work with us once every person left. Michelle and the staff are amazing. We bring a lot of them. But tell us where you were. You were stranded in Scotland
I was in Scotland when I got the notice. And
when this happened.
Yes, I was away out of the country, and so I'm just grateful to everyone for their help.
And the first thing, and you were very worried. The first thing I said is, my wife's family is Scottish. Do not worry. My wife would like to trade places with you. But just so you all know, this is not me. I get called in to do bird feeders. I get called in to do chocolate chip cookies and to do things like bring people food. But it's Jeanette and Terry and our whole team, which now includes, well, what we love about this is you've got some amazing caregivers that you've all said. Your family members have said, you all said, this person, this. We've reached out to everyone. And all those folks are coming. Your doctor is coming. Delegating nurses coming. They're all coming. And for a lot of them, if it's a little farther to travel, they've all said, but we get to care for the people we've been caring for. And they went through every one of your family members. So for us, that was special. That was special. So, okay. I also wanted to thank, with all the family members here, I also wanted to thank the county executive, Stuart, his entire office, Pete Barron, also Mark Wiedemeyer, who's the head of inspections and permits, John McQuaid, who's the inspector who rearranged his schedule, Lieutenant Walls from the fire marshal, who you just saw, who just made all that noise. He rearranged training schedule to be here. So, there was a lot of other people that went into making this happen, and I just want to give them a round of applause too, because it's an amazing county we're in. Obviously I'm recording this. So we're in the kitchen of 5127. We're here with Dr. Tempest. And so we got called last Wednesday to Chris Lee. And it was Carol Clements from the county. We knew the afternoon before because one of the residents in Gambrills who got out wandering several weeks before, brought back by the police to Gambrills, her family wasn't told for a couple weeks that she was out. She came to us. So we knew something was up. So I called Carol. Carol said, we know something is up. When we showed up, I was going to come there for maybe an hour and just see if we could help out. I ended up staying 9 hours. Saw Michelle, who's just unbelievable, incredible, holding this fort down. She told me they hadn't gotten food in a week. We immediately gave money for food for the next 4 days. I immediately went out and got lunch. Carissa Kelly from the director of Office of Healthcare Quality, Joelle, her assistant. Carissa came. She just started making sure that staff, boxed lunches there, food was there. But, you have, been there, and we're so grateful that not only we have about 20 residents, Alzheimer's went to Millersville, memory care went to Millersville, but we've been able to accommodate about 20 residents because of the Department of Aging, because of the Office of Healthcare Quality, because of Stuart Pittman, because of his team, because of people like Mark Wiedemeyer, Andrew, his assistant, the fire marshal, Lieutenant Walls. I mean, changed his whole schedule to come out today. We have been permitted, we've been ready to go, but the bottom line is people had to, move heaven and earth to get us to this point where we are going to be able to open this. But you've been there. You brought in another nurse, which is our delegating nurse, but to be able to move this many people, keep you as their doctor, keep the nurse as the nurse, and keep this whole group together is really is incredible, and it's a testament to you and your dedication, and we want to thank you for that. But this is a public-private effort because a gentleman decided to take their money on November 1st, as you said, and wait till November 7th till the checks are cleared, hiding down in Florida. The Attorney General of Maryland has written him, and said you have to stay open, but the conditions under which people have been living, if you could just kind of speak to your experience, because, again, you're one of these unbelievable Good Samaritans who's, through all of this, I saw you there. I saw you running around, trying to get everyone's paperwork. I mean, there were 34 people just in that facility that had to get to be somewhere, and we would never have taken an employee until everyone was accounted for and everyone was going somewhere. But if you can just speak to everybody, because it is really a collective effort of the county and the state and individuals and the medical team. So anyway, just
basically I was told that the facilities will be closing, and for any resident to move, you need the healthcare practitioner form. You're going to need basically the PMOF, physician medical order form, and you need the Maryland Order for Life Sustaining Treatment. And for just in 5 days, so I got bombarded with the power of attorney to the relatives that this one needs to be done in 5 days. And I thought, well, this is not possible.
And it's also illegal.
You're not supposed
it's
to
at
do
least
it.
30 days.
You have to give them your final place, and then of course the complaint that they already paid for the whole month. So
well, the other thing that we heard when we got there was, okay, it has to be 30 days, but he wasn't paying staff. He hadn't paid staff. He hadn't paid delegating nurses. And the problem is, people can try to stay there, but the power was about to be shut off. The phones were cut off. There was no faxing available. How do you get forms to the other ones if there's no faxing?
So they have to go through email, and also I've heard that the freezer was not working for it. So,
Well, no, when we heard that lunch was going to be, we heard that the chef who's coming here, that he had gone out, he had not been paid. He was going out with his own money and bought breakfast. And then lunch was going to be 1 slice of cheese and 1 slice of ham cold cut. I went down to Chick-fil-A, and although it was an inefficient use of funds, I just bought lunch for staff and everybody, and then I had the chef come up after he served that, because we were there for 9 hours, and I said, okay, now what's the budget for the next 4 days? And so, then, here comes Carissa Kelly comes in with, if what do we need? We need staff, we need food, and so the Department of Aging has been incredible, and they've been communicating with the Office of Healthcare Quality, which we have an amazing relationship with, and have. We had Bill DeRill, who used to be the deputy director, retired, but give us an incredible recommendation in Forbes magazine in the First Responders issue in 2020. He did that because in 2005 we went to him and we asked him, what are all the things not good with the assisted living business? Because we wanted to change it. And he basically said, well, here's our wish list. We implemented everything he asked us to do, and it raised the level of care. So Dr. Campos is people like you that want to do these things. And we were so pleased when you said you would join us, when Michelle would join us, obviously after all the patients are there safely, but to do things the right way going forward. So we thank you, and we also we just want to recognize that it is the county does care incredibly from the executive all the way through. We've had the people who do our grading permit. Everybody has bent over backwards, stopped what they were doing, because we got 7 people set, Alzheimer's people, whatever, memory care people. But for this building to get open, even though it was generally ready, before Thanksgiving, before the holidays, to turn these people out is, and their family members were picking them up because they were fearful, right? And family members were taking them who couldn't care for them. So that means people are not going to their jobs because someone has to stay home. The whole reason they put them there and trusted, Chris Lee to do what they're supposed to do, right? So again, thank you so much for everything you do. We love welcoming you to the team, and we really look forward to a long relationship.
It's my privilege. So.
Thank you. We're at 5127, and so this is Michelle Gray, and I first met Michelle last Wednesday. The night before, we had a resident come to us who'd been at Gambrel's, and they had gotten out 3 days before they had gotten out, or 3 weeks before they'd gotten out. They were brought back by the police, and the family was not told for 2 weeks. They came to us, and that's how we first learned about it. So the next day we showed up. We called Carol Clements at the Department of Aging, and I saw you behind a desk, and literally there at times during the day, I was going to be there for an hour to see if we could help. And there were times during the day where there were 5 people deep surrounding you. I don't know how you held it together. It's the most amazing thing I saw. And I said, look, I want to be very clear. We would never hire any of the staff until every last resident was out of here. But I begged you to consider. And not only are you amazing for what you've done for the last 2 years, but under fire, you have made sure every resident had a place to go. All their paperwork obviously had to get done. They turned off the power. They turned off the fax machines. They, bills aren't being paid. And the most horrific thing we heard was that, the money was taken for November, and then 7 days later when the checks were cashed, that's when they told to get out. And they were told to get out immediately, which is obviously illegal. But through all this, you calm, cool. I would see residents come up the next day. We were there 5 hours, and I just don't know how you were. It wasn't even about multitasking. It was so many different things you had to deal with, where people were upset about their security deposit and about their community fees and just being paid, just having paid it and not getting it back, and the resident being treated. When we heard that lunch was going to be cheese, 1 slice of cheese and 1 slice of ham, and that the chef had taken his own money, not being paid, and of course you weren't being paid, taking his own money to buy breakfast, but that this is all lunch, and I said, when's the last time food came? And you said, hasn't come for a week, hadn't been delivered for a week, he's not paying his bills.